Welcome to Godless and Grounded. Religion has been one of the most powerful forces in human history. It has shaped cultures, built civilizations, and influenced laws, art, and politics for thousands of years. At one time, religion explained the world around us. It told us why the sun rose in the morning, why the rains came down from the sky, and what happened after death. But today we live in a very different age. Science explains much of what was once a mystery. Technology connects people across the globe. Ideas and cultures mix in ways that were unthinkable even 100 years ago. And slowly but surely, religion is losing its grip. Many people are asking whether religion will eventually die out, and there are good reasons to believe that it will. One of the biggest reasons is knowledge. For most of history, ordinary people did not have access to information. Books were rare, and literacy was limited to a small elite. Priests, monks, and religious leaders were the gatekeepers of knowledge. If you wanted to know why something happened, you had to rely on their explanations. This gave religion incredible power, because it could provide answers, even if those answers were wrong. But now, knowledge is available to anyone with an internet connection. A teenager in a small village can learn more about the universe in an afternoon on a smartphone than the most educated priest knew 1,000 years ago. This spread of knowledge is one of the greatest threats to religion, because when people can fact-check claims, when they can see different perspectives, they realize that many religious stories simply do not hold up. Take creation myths, for example. Almost every religion has a story of how the world was made. Some say God shaped humans from clay, others say the earth rests on the back of a giant animal, and some say a supreme being created everything in a few days. For centuries, these stories went unchallenged. But today we have evolutionary biology, astronomy, geology, and physics. We know that the universe is nearly 14 billion years old, that the Earth formed about 4.5 billion years ago, and that humans evolved over millions of years from earlier species. This is not speculation. It is evidence supported by fossils, genetics, and observations. Once people see these facts, they realize the religious creation stories are not literal truths. They are myths, and myths do not survive long in a world that values evidence. Another reason religion will fade is morality. Religions often claim to be the source of morality, saying that without a God, people would have no reason to behave well. But history tells a different story. Some of the worst crimes in human history have been committed in the name of religion. Crusades, witch hunts, holy wars, and forced conversions. Even today, religion often stands against equality, opposing women's rights, LGBT rights, and scientific progress. Meanwhile, secular societies that separate religion from government often show higher levels of peace, equality, and happiness. Scandinavian countries like Sweden and Denmark are good examples. They are some of the least religious places in the world, yet they consistently rank high in quality of life, education, healthcare, and social trust. This shows that morality does not come from religion. It comes from human empathy, cooperation, and reason. As more people realize this, religion's moral authority crumbles. Fear has also been a major reason why religion held on for so long. Fear of death, fear of punishment, fear of the unknown. Religion offers comfort by promising an afterlife, a heaven where you meet loved ones again. But it also controls people by threatening them with eternal punishment if they disobey. This fear kept many people inside religion even when they had doubts. But modern psychology and philosophy give people healthier ways to face death. Instead of seeing death as a punishment or reward, people can view it as a natural part of life. The idea that you should live fully, cherish your time, and leave a positive impact on others is more meaningful than the idea that you must obey religious rules to gain a reward after death. The more people find peace with mortality, the less they need religion to comfort them. Demographics also play a role. Around the world, younger generations are becoming less religious. In the United States, for example, surveys show that nearly 1/3 of young adults identify with no religion at all. In Europe, the numbers are even higher. Churches that were once full are now closing or being turned into libraries, cafes, or apartments. Even in traditionally religious countries, young people are asking tough questions and leaving the faith of their parents. Religion often survives through tradition, passed down from parents to children. But once that chain breaks, it is very hard to rebuild. If children grow up without religious belief, they usually do not adopt it later. This generational shift is one of the strongest signs that religion will decline over time. Another important factor is science and medicine. In the past, people prayed for healing because there were no alternatives. Illness, plagues, and natural disasters seemed like punishments from gods. But today, medicine, vaccines, and modern healthcare have replaced prayer as the real solution. When a child is sick, even deeply religious people usually go to a doctor, not a priest. When an earthquake strikes, people look to scientists and engineers, not holy books, to understand and prepare for the future. Each time science solves a problem that religion once claimed to explain, the need for religion shrinks. Some people try to hold on to both, but the balance keeps shifting towards science because it produces real results. Technology is also weakening religion's control. In the past, religious leaders controlled communication. Sermons, holy texts, and rituals were the main way people learned about the world. But now, with social media, podcasts, YouTube, and global discussion forums, people can hear voices from everywhere. If a religious leader makes a strange claim, people can instantly search for counter-arguments. If someone in a strict religious community starts doubting, they can secretly connect with others who have similar questions. This free exchange of ideas makes it much harder for religion to maintain authority. You cannot keep people in ignorance when they carry the internet in their pockets. Globalization adds to this change. For most of history, people lived in isolated communities where one religion dominated. You might grow up never hearing of another faith. That made it easy to believe that your religion was the absolute truth. But today, people travel, migrate, study abroad, and connect online. They meet people from other religions, and they notice that each group is just as convinced of their own truth. This naturally leads to doubt. If billions of people believe completely different things with equal certainty, can they all be right? Once someone asks that question, the door to skepticism opens, and it is hard to close it again. Religions also struggle with contradictions. Holy books are filled with claims that no longer match reality. Some say the earth is flat or created in 6 days. Others give rules that clearly reflect the culture of ancient times, not modern society. For example, many scriptures include rules about slavery, women being inferior, or punishments like stoning. Religious leaders often try to reinterpret these passages or claim they are symbolic, but ordinary people notice the contradictions. If a book claims to be the perfect word of God, why does it contain mistakes, outdated rules, and stories borrowed from older cultures? These inconsistencies push people away once they start thinking critically. Religion is also facing competition from new philosophies and lifestyles. Secular humanism, for instance, offers meaning and purpose without supernatural beliefs. It focuses on human dignity, reason, and shared responsibility. Environmental movements emphasize our duty to protect the planet, not because of divine commands, but because it is our home. Psychology offers methods for coping with suffering without prayer. Philosophy offers answers about meaning without gods. In short, people have more options for understanding life than just religion, and many of these options are more practical, logical, and humane. At the same time, religion often struggles to adapt to modern values. Issues like gender equality, same-sex marriage, reproductive rights, and freedom of thought expose a deep gap between ancient scriptures and modern ethics. Young people who grow up with values of equality and personal freedom often find religious rules oppressive and outdated. They see friends being judged harshly by religious communities, and this makes them question whether such communities are truly moral. As societies grow more inclusive, religion often appears as an obstacle rather than a guide. Another sign of decline is that many people still identify with religion culturally but not spiritually. For example, someone might say they are Christian, Muslim, Hindu, or Jewish, but they rarely pray, rarely attend religious services, and do not strictly follow the rules. For them, religion is more of a tradition or identity marker than a belief system. This cultural religion is often the last stage before full secularization. Once people stop practicing, belief tends to fade within a generation or two. All of these factors combine to create a clear trend. Religion is shrinking. It may not disappear overnight, and in some places it may even experience temporary revivals. But the long-term direction is clear. The more people learn, the more they connect globally, the more they value evidence and equality, the less space there is for religion. Religion has survived for thousands of years because it has been deeply tied to power. Kings, emperors, and rulers often used religion as a tool to justify their authority. They claimed to rule by divine right, chosen by the gods. This made it dangerous to question them, because questioning the ruler meant questioning God. But modern societies increasingly separate religion from politics. Secular democracies are built on the idea that governments should serve the people, not divine beings. Once laws are based on reason, evidence, and human rights instead of ancient scriptures, religion loses one of its strongest pillars. People begin to see that justice does not need divine permission. It only needs fairness, compassion, and equality. Another reason religion weakens is the problem of exclusivity. Almost every religion claims to be the one true faith. Yet there are thousands of religions, past and present. Most of them are no longer practiced. The gods of ancient Egypt, Greece, and Rome were once worshipped with great devotion. Temples were built, sacrifices made, and prayers whispered to them. Today they are seen as myths and legends. This shows how fragile belief can be. What is considered eternal truth in one era often becomes folklore in another. Modern religions are no different. Future generations may look at them the way we look at Zeus or Ra, as once powerful myths that no longer hold relevance. The more we understand psychology, the more religion looks like a product of the human mind. Humans have a strong tendency to find patterns and meaning, even when there is none. We see faces in clouds, hear voices in random noise, and create stories to explain the unknown. Religion grew out of these tendencies. People once explained thunder as the anger of gods and illness as the work of spirits. But psychology shows these are natural human behaviors, not divine revelations. Once we recognize that religion is born from our fears, hopes, and imagination, it becomes clear that it is not necessary for truth. One of the biggest reasons religion will fade is that people are looking for meaning elsewhere. For centuries, religion was the main source of answers to life's big questions. Why are we here? What is our purpose? How should we live? But today, philosophy, science, art, and personal reflection offer many alternatives. People find meaning in relationships, creativity, helping others, exploring the world, and seeking knowledge. These sources of meaning are real and tangible. They do not require belief in the unseen or the supernatural. The more people realize that meaning can be created rather than handed down, the less they need religion to provide it. Religious predictions also fail, and this weakens faith. Throughout history, prophets and preachers have claimed that the world would end at a specific time, or that certain events would prove their God's power. Time and again, these predictions fail. When they do, believers often make excuses or reinterpret the prophecy. But outsiders see the truth. Religion is not predicting the future. It is guessing and often wrong. Science, on the other hand, makes predictions that can be tested. It tells us when eclipses will happen, how diseases will spread, and how technology will evolve. When predictions succeed, trust grows. When they fail, trust fades. Religion's poor record of predictions is another reason people abandon it. There is also the issue of diversity within religions. Even within one faith, there are countless sects, denominations, and interpretations. Christianity has thousands of branches, each claiming to follow the true message of Jesus. Islam has major divisions like Sunni and Shia, each with further splits. Hinduism, Buddhism, and Judaism all have their own divisions. If one religion cannot even agree within itself about what is true, how can it claim absolute authority? People notice these divisions and wonder whether religion is more about human disagreement than divine truth. This confusion pushes many towards secularism, where truth is tested by evidence, not by competing interpretations. Religion often tries to resist change, but this resistance usually backfires. For example, when the Catholic Church opposed the idea that the earth revolves around the sun, it eventually lost credibility. When religious groups today resist evolution, climate science, or human rights, they create the same problem. They appear outdated, stuck in the past, and hostile to progress. Younger generations do not want to be part of institutions that resist equality or deny scientific facts. So they walk away. Over time, this steady walking away adds up, and religions lose followers not because of direct attacks, but because of their own refusal to adapt. Education plays a massive role. The more educated a society is, the less religious it tends to be. This pattern is seen around the world. Countries with high levels of education and literacy often have lower levels of religious belief. This makes sense because education teaches people how to think critically, how to question assumptions, and how to evaluate evidence. Religion, by contrast, often asks people not to question but to accept. Once people are trained to question and think critically, blind faith becomes harder to sustain. Education may be the single strongest long-term force leading to the decline of religion. Another subtle but important factor is entertainment and distraction. In the past, religion was not only a belief system, but also one of the few sources of community and activity. Religious festivals, gatherings, and rituals provided structure to life. Today, people have countless alternatives. Sports, movies, music, travel, and online communities offer ways to connect, celebrate, and find joy. This does not mean entertainment replaces deep questions about existence, but it does reduce religion's monopoly on human gatherings and celebrations. When people can find community in a football match, an online group, or a concert, religion no longer has the same pull. Migration also plays a role. When people move to new countries, they are exposed to different cultures and beliefs. Some hold on tightly to their religion, but many begin to question it. They see others living happy, moral, meaningful lives without sharing their faith. This experience is powerful. It shows that religion is not the only way to live well. As migration increases in the modern world, more and more people will have these experiences, and religion will continue to lose its claim of being essential. Another reason is the problem of suffering. Religions often promise that a loving God cares for humanity. Yet, the world is filled with suffering, natural disasters, diseases, and injustice. When people pray for help and nothing happens, doubts grow. Some are told that suffering is a test or punishment, but these answers feel empty in the face of real pain. Science and social action offer better solutions. Medicine cures diseases, charities provide aid, governments create social safety nets. These solutions actually reduce suffering. Religion's promises often fail, while human effort delivers results. Over time, people see where real help comes from. Economic development also matters. Studies show that as countries become wealthier and more secure, religious belief tends to decline. When people live in poverty, religion offers hope and comfort. But when people have education, healthcare, stable jobs, and security, they need religion less. This is why some of the richest and most developed countries in the world are also the least religious. If development continues globally, religion may keep shrinking simply because people no longer depend on it for survival. It is important to note that religion probably will not vanish completely. Some people will always find comfort in it, and in times of crisis there may even be revivals. But the overall trend is decline. Just as we no longer worship Zeus or Odin, future generations may see today's religions as part of history rather than daily life. They may study them in schools the way we study mythology, as part of human culture but not as truth. Religion's decline is not about hatred or attack. It is about progress. When knowledge expands, fear decreases. When justice improves, divine threats lose power. When meaning can be found in human experience, gods are no longer needed. In this sense, religion is not being destroyed by enemies, but being outgrown by humanity. It was once useful, but like many tools of the past, it is slowly being replaced. Imagine a future where children grow up learning about the universe through science rather than scripture. Imagine societies where morality is based on empathy and fairness, not divine rules. Imagine communities coming together, not because they share a belief in the unseen, but because they share a commitment to each other and the planet. That is the direction humanity is heading, slowly but surely. Religion will eventually die out, not with a sudden collapse but with a gradual fading. Fewer people will pass it on to their children. More people will find meaning in secular ways. Religious institutions will lose power, and temples, churches, and mosques will become cultural landmarks rather than centers of daily life. This process may take decades or even centuries, but the signs are clear. Religion is retreating, step by step, as humanity advances. And when it does fade, the world will not lose morality or meaning. It will gain freedom to define life for ourselves, to build values from compassion and reason, and to seek truth without fear of divine punishment. Religion may have dominated our past, but it does not have to dominate our future. The future belongs to knowledge, to reason, and to humanity itself.